Hello, everyone, and welcome to Knowledge Providers Podcast by the Global Speakers Bureau. I'm your host, Sergio Zgrzebski, and joining me today is a global speaker, a success coach, best-selling author, and I dare to say, my friend, Michael Altshuler. Welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Serge. It's great to be on the podcast show. We've been talking about this, and I'm glad it's finally here.
And not only shall I introduce you as a top leading business coach and entrepreneur, but also with providing your keynote, there's always an opportunity to experience some magic. And I can say that now more than ever, we do need some magic in our crazy world we're living in.
Absolutely. And I do that, Serge, for my clients. I do that literally and figuratively. Since I'm a magician, as you know, I do a few big tricks up on the stage where I invite guests up, but I also do, when they have their welcome reception, I do what's called strolling magic. I'll go from table to table to create some excitement and some camaraderie, some smiles, some laughs, and some what just happened reactions. So it's always great to do that. Like I said, always good to see people's reactions.
Mike, well, we live in a challenging post-COVID times. Obviously, everybody's talking about one thing: staying motivated, staying on track, and keeping your energy level up. What is your recipe? What is your secret sauce you're introducing when delivering keynotes and when delivering workshops to the client? I guess is there a theme in what Mike Altshuler is presenting to the audiences?
Yeah, great question. Everyone, this is the world we live in, perhaps now a little more challenging than previous to COVID. But, listen, we live in uncertain times. And the one thing we're certain of is that life and business are challenging, sometimes more challenging, sometimes less challenging. But there's no one who listens to this podcast. There's no one who is sitting in a seat in the audience that's not dealing with some crap in their life. They either personally or in a relationship or a friend, family member, or colleague is dealing with either a serious health issue, a financial issue, a relational issue. And that's the world we live in. And, when it happens to a dear friend or a colleague of ours, we feel their pain and their frustration or their sadness. So really, it's not about avoiding the challenges of life. COVID happened to be something out of the blue and just a different challenge that we had to handle a different way. But the reality is they're going to keep coming, challenges and roadblocks and obstacles. And really what I like to share with audience is, besides making it entertaining and fun, is what do we really have to do to not just survive, but to thrive, to live life, squeeze the most juice out of life. And what does that take? This is not like a rah-rah session. That doesn't work. But it is something to get kind of pull back the curtain and expose things that will help us get on track, stay on track, be more consistent, be more optimistic, more positive, live with greater gratitude, and really move forward with the challenges, push through them, and like I said, not just survive, but thrive.
And you've mentioned an important word. I'm going to start with our conversation today, and that is gratitude. How important is the fact that we all employ gratitude in our daily lives and businesses?
Well, that's where you and I really hit it off. I mean, really, when you look at life, uh, you know, I'm a big quote person. Maybe because I'm a speaker, maybe because I just love quotes because they say a lot with few words. I have to learn how to do that. But certainly, one of the quotes is, "I felt sorry for the man who had no shoes until I met the man who had no feet." What gratitude is being grateful for what you have, even during the tough times, because what you have is so much richer and greater and better than 99% of the population of the world. And we take things for granted. And taking things for granted, the opposite of that is gratitude. And and here's a big push that I make for my clients that I have these 15-minute morning huddles. And I also obviously have keynotes and workshops, and my one-on-one coaching clients. It's important to be aware and intentional throughout your day. You know, the world now more than ever throws 1,000 things in our path. Social media, people calling us. It's like every minute there's a distraction. And to stay on target really requires discipline, focus, and some other kind of tricks of the trade that I share with folks of how do you do that. And I think a morning, I talk about habits, rituals, and routines. I think it's really incumbent, essential for everyone to start their day with gratitude. That's one of the things I do. First, make your bed. If you saw the Admiral's YouTube video that has 10 trillion views, start your day with a small accomplishment. We start ours, actually, my wife and I, in prayer. So we start by thanking God for all that we have, praying to be better. So that's how I start my life. If you're a God-fearing person, you can relate to that. If not, that's perfectly all right. But gratitude is a universal law, universal truth that we all should start our day with. And after you make your bed or before you make your bed, just say, what do I have? And I really think comparing it to others, Serge, is what's important. And I say comparing in a good way, that regardless of what you have, there's so many people. If you have $10 in your bank account, you're richer than 95% of the people in the free world. It's like remarkable. I did a study on this, or looked at studies on this. It was remarkable how much we have uh, to be grateful for. And yet we don't take time out, not intentional and aware of the things that we should be grateful for. So I think the step, kind of peeling back the onion on that, is to start the habit or the routine of every day saying, you know what, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for another day. I'm grateful for the work that I do, that I can make an impact in people's lives. Grateful for my significant other, my children. So much to be grateful for, and then work on that and build on that.
And as you mentioned, the gratitude moment in many companies, in many entities, is a part of organized morning huddle. When we talk about goals, when we measure where we were, direction we're headed, where we talk about what's the theme of the day, week, or month, and then we remember about being grateful for everything that's coming our way, which seems to be a case in the Global Speakers Bureau, because perspective is what really matters there.
Yeah, perspective is everything. The lens through which we see our world, we call that our paradigm. And then perspective, which allows us to see through the lens through what's happening around us and be aware of that. And also, I think it's incumbent upon us. I hope everyone has this in their heart that whatever we do have, I think part of our responsibility is to leave the world better than we found it. And that's really one kind act, compassionate act, loving act at a time, whether it's a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, helping someone financially, helping someone in need. I think all those things, when you're in gratitude and living in gratitude, um, I think those are things that we all have a responsibility to do to make the world a better place with people that we know and sometimes people we don't know.
And it seems like it has to start with us. Like many times we are entrepreneurs, we are business people, we are successful, yet we forget the basic principles that whatever is working in the workplace should be working in our home first, according to the rule, be, do, have, correct?
Yeah. In fact, that's my theme for 2024. It's funny you said that. I don't know if I sent it to you, but it's like be more, do more, have more, and give more in 2024. So I think with a little rhyme, maybe that will be a way that people will remember it. But be more, do more, have more in 2024. And to your point, Serge, I heard from Gerhard Schwantner, the founder of Selling Power Magazine, who's a dear friend. He said to me, Mike, we're not human being, not human doings, we're human beings. We have to be more before we can do more. And we have to do more in order to have more. But it all starts with being more. And that's where the performance principle, one of my keynotes talks about what does that really look like? How do we become more? Us first, and then what we can give to others. If our battery's not full, we can't give to others. I heard my priest say this weekend. He said, you know, and I've said it many times myself as well. If you're on a flight and the flight attendant comes on, which they do, and they say, if in the event we lose air pressure, oxygen mask will come down. If you're sitting with a child, and you, everyone here listening, can fill a line in here. If you're sitting with a child, make sure you put your mask on first. Totally counterintuitive to if my child's gasping for breath, I'm putting it on my child first. That's your first instinct, right? But the truth is, you can't help your child unless you help yourself first. And that's why you do that, because they'll be sitting there alone and won't know what to do after that. So, fill your battery, charge your battery, and then you're going to be able to be your best to give your best. You can't give something you don't have.
And I guess the same thing would be with your physical strength. Like so many times we only taking care of our minds and what we put onto our minds, yet not realizing we also have to be physically healthy to just undertake all the challenges that life throws us.
Yeah, yeah. I was doing it. It's another great point and a great message for everyone to really understand. I call it really the trifecta of our lives, that you have to have a strong, growing, transforming, always getting better mind, body, and spirit. And that's the trifecta of a great life. All three impact your life. A great Indian proverb said, a rich person has one dream. A rich person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person has one. The reality is, and that goes back to gratitude also, but the reality is that in order to be healthy, and I reverse engineer everything that I talk about, in order to be healthy, mind, body, and spirit, it requires us to do certain things that we don't always do, or we're not consistent with doing. Consistency and momentum are a big thing today that I talk about. Everyone in their business wants, and we can talk about that after, Serge, or whenever you like, is how do I drive consistently better results with my people and myself? We all fall off the wagon. We all stop doing something that was once good for us, and all of a sudden we're not doing it anymore. Whether it's working out, eating right, whether it's morning routines, and it's kind of perplexing sometimes. We say, why did I stop that? But life gets in the way, and we stop these things. But again, going back to your point, strong mind, body, and spirit, that if you're without a great spirit, you're not going to have that next level of happiness, joy, fulfillment in your life. If you're not without physical strength and conditioning, you don't stretch, you don't work out, you're things, and you don't eat right. We are what we think, we are what we feel, we are what we do. No one can argue with that. So what are we doing to improve those things? And why don't we? And I kind of break that down as to why don't we do the things that we know. We know we should do, but we don't do them. Why is that? And then I give ammunition that will allow people to say, okay, now I'm going to do it. And there's multiple steps that it takes to do that, but those steps are easy to share, hard to do on a consistent basis, but very doable. And you can't start without a game plan. And that's what I leave my clients with is kind of a game plan and action plan to have a stronger mind, body, and spirit. So all those three are working in connection to living a better day, a better week, month, year in life.
It was great to connect today, Michael. And finally, I would like to end up with the question I'm asking all our speakers is name one book that is essential to your self-improvement and your development in 2024.
Okay, well, this is mine, and I have, by the way, Serge, I have a book list that I send to everyone that are my top 35, 40 books. And I would say the one that affected me the most because of my personality, I'm an all-in immersive type of guy, and I like to encourage everyone with things that you're passionate about. So I like to think Probably Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, #1 Navy SEAL, about just how to push through pain, which is going to be presented to you, and just be your best all the time. Always do better, always transform. And what does it take to really do that? And I think the #1 Navy SEAL is in a position to say, what does it take to be mentally tough, fight the good fight, win the good fight, and lessons learned along the way.
Thank you so much for this recommendation. Mike Altshuler, global speaker, success coach, and best-selling author, was our guest here on Knowledge Providers Podcast by the Global Speakers Bureau. And yes, Dave Goggins is also available as one of our speakers should you decide to pursue. Mike, how do we contact you? Where do we learn more? And obviously, keynotes for 2024.
Yeah. Well, personally, I'd like to invite any of my clients who'd like to hire me to fly down to Florida and we can have a conversation by the ocean. Many in a cold weather climate would love to do that. So I'm in Florida. They can reach me by email, Michael at michaelaltshuler.com. That's ALTSHULER. But most importantly, I want them to reach me through you, global speakers, because they represent me, and I wouldn't be doing this podcast unless they represented me. So they're the go-to place when you need a speaker. If you need a sales speaker, a performance speaker, communication speaker, or one on gratitude and love and giving and kindness, I have 4 talks covering those areas. You can go to global speakers, and they can certainly point you in the right direction, whether it's me or other top quality speakers that they have in their roster.
Michael Altshuler, thank you so much for connecting today on Knowledge Providers. Have a wonderful week.
You as well. Thank you for having me.